So this is Love Month, obviously. I think we covered that. And I remember back in the 90s, I was reading a sociologist paper about how long it took people to decide that they wanted to hook up. So like in a bar or a social situation, do you know how long that is, Jackie?
Seconds.
Seconds. 7 seconds. 7 seconds. So that kind of led us into first impressions. And somehow that led us into unemployment. But
where did that come from?
I know. Well, you kind of had to be there. You know? So we know that unemployment in the United States right now is actually 23%. You can find that data on shadowstats.com. It's less than 9% is a lie. And so anytime you go for a job interview, 23 other people are going to be there.
That's right. Yeah.
And so something needs to help you stand out. And so we have one of my favorite people.
That's how that came
That's
out.
how it came out. That's how it came out. So those 7 seconds, those 7 seconds when the HR people are scanning the waiting room and you want their eyes to land on you because that's hooking up. I mean, that's a job. I mean, that's pretty important.
Yeah.
So we have one of my favorite people here today, Sunny Weber, is going to talk about hair for hire and how to look your best so that you're the one that gets that job. And so here is Sunny to tell us how to do that.
Thank you. As you know, competition in the workplace is very, very real. And studies have shown that first impressions actually do count, as much as we like to think they don't. They've done studies, I think 2020 did an expose a year or two ago, sending in a homely person for a job and then sending in a very attractive person for a job, and the attractive person almost always got the job. And that is not really based in reality because the attractive person may not be the most talented, the most educated, the most competent in that field. But first impressions do lead people to do that, and it's a very, very primitive instinct. It goes way, way back to the days when people chose mates based on their looks for propagation of the species. And it's true in all species, not just human beings. So first impressions really do count. And what we need to try to do, what I try to do as a hairstylist, is to get my clients to be the ones that people actually hire. And this is what I've become a specialist in, particularly for baby boomers, many of whom have retired either voluntarily or not, and are looking for more work and can't find it. How do you compete with the youth market? How do you compete in this culture? Well, here is some of the ways you can. First impressions equal appearance. So we're going to talk about hair because that's a huge part in our culture, for positive or for negative. So looks will subliminally communicate to others your level of confidence, how you carry yourself, how you look, how you put yourself together. Dr. Joyce Brothers, a very famous psychologist, years ago said that people will do two things if they want to turn other people off. Number one, they will overdress, over-accessorize, and over-exaggerate themselves through hairstyles, makeup, and clothes. That turns people off. The second way they do that is to under-present themselves. No makeup, no hairstyle, frumpy clothes, and very poor posture, which then turns people off. So what we want to do is find that happy medium so that you will actually present yourself in a way that people take notice, but in a absolutely positive and constructive way. So confidence is very, very important, and that can be exuded through your appearance. It will also subliminally communicate mastery in your field. How confident are you, and how much mastery do you have in that field that you're interviewing for? Credibility. Are you someone that someone can count on? Are you someone that will show up on time? Are you someone who's reliable? Trustworthiness. Can you be trusted with things in the workplace and with people and relationships. Approachability is hugely important. People don't want to hire people that they don't feel comfortable with. They don't want to be around people that make them feel inadequate or insecure themselves. So you want to exude an approachability atmosphere around yourself. And so part of that is the appearance. One thing to remember, age discrimination is very, very real. How do I help my clients to overcome some of these things and put their best foot forward in the job market? First of all, let's look at the 6 basic facial shapes that we work with in hairstyling. All right, the first one is the square-shaped face. The square-shaped face is just as wide at its forehead as it is at its jawline. It can be a very masculine-looking face, and we need to soften it. The round face is very similar to the square, except that it's got the softer, rounder corners at the jaw and the forehead. Triangular shapes, they're generally fairly pointed at the forehead and the chin area. Oval shape is the perfect face shape. This is the face shape that we are trying to accomplish with all of our hairstyling and makeup techniques, just like the hourglass figure in clothing. The long shape, generally you take the side width and you turn it sideways, and it's double its width and length, which is what makes it long. And the hard shape is wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. Sometimes that chin can get disappointed. So how do we break this down and we try to accomplish the fact that we are trying to make all these other face shapes actually appear oval? We're going to use techniques called optical illusion. Optical means eye, and illusion means trick. We're going to trick the eye of the seer into seeing what we want them to see, which is oval, not what's necessarily there. We're going to use some techniques for that. We're going to use lines. We're going to use horizontal lines in our hairstyling, which can be width. Width draws the eye. It creates interest in that particular area, like the cheekbones or the eyes, particularly in women. It can be a bang. It can be a design line of where the hair ends. It can be a weight line where the hair is the widest. We're going to use vertical lines, which are lengthening lines. They can make a wide face look thinner. They can draw attention to features in the face that we really want people to see and not to other areas of the face. And then, of course, diagonals. Diagonal lines are wonderful connective lines, and we use those in hairstyling as well to try to draw the eye of the seer into the features that we actually want them to see. How are we going to use these lines? Number one, let's take our face shapes. Let's take the 3 hardest face shapes for me as a stylist are the square, the round, and the triangle. Okay, now this is why we need to soften these lines. Very masculine, hard, pointed areas, and then also width at the bottom half of the face. We want to draw down the width. In a woman, we want to draw up eyes to the cheekbones and eyes. In men, we want to make a very strong masculine jawline. So how will we do this? With a square, we are going to do 2 diagonal lines. You can do this with a pencil or chopsticks at the side of the chin and the side of the cheekbone. Then you know you want your volume to be up in this area to balance off the width of the jaw. Now we want to soften that forehead a little bit, so we're going to do another set of diagonals in the form of side bangs. And remember, we said we want to make every face appear oval. If you do that, what have you got? You've got an oval within the framework of the face you're working on. Okay, round, same thing. 2 diagonals from the chin to the cheekbone. This is where your volume will be. And again, you've got a rounder, wider forehead, not the hard square. But again, you're going to take some soft diagonals, off-center parts. Oftentimes, people who have wide jaws and wide cheeks have a very wide neck, which is very emasculating, especially for a woman. So we want to fringe out the hairstyle, and we're going to have little softness on the side. Once again, there's your oval within the framework of the face you're working on. Now, when you've got a narrow forehead, like you do with a triangle, or you have a pointed chin like you can have, you want to cut down on the width of the jaw, of the cheekbone. So we know we don't want horizontal lines, because remember we said horizontals create width and they draw the eye. So what we want is no horizontal. We want closeness on the sides. We want volume down below. We do want our horizontal down here because we want to create width to take away from that real severe pointed chin. And then we're going to soften that top with a soft bang and a tiny, tiny bit of height, so that you've got an oval, once again, within the framework of the face you're working on. We're not going to mess with the ovals because we know ovals are perfect. That's what we're trying to accomplish. Let's take the heart. The heart-shaped face is wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. Oftentimes it can be pointed, like the triangle. So we want to cut down on the width at the top and bring out width at the bottom. So we want a vertical down into a horizontal to draw out and soften. Now you want to be careful about length on any chin that's very pointed, because what will happen is that it will make that chin look even more pointed. So you don't want to get too much length. Now, what do you do with a wide forehead? A true heart-shaped face has a widow's peak right in the center of the forehead. This is very rare, and it's a classic sign of beauty. So if you have a widow's peak, you want to really bring it out. That's where the hair grows back, not down. Most of us are constantly fighting hair in our faces, and we can't get it back. But the person with the true widow's peak, their hair actually grows backwards. And so we're going to use that, and we're going to soften it with a very, very sexy, soft movement with a bang. And again, there's your oval within the framework of the face you're working on. Let's take the long face, simple. One line you definitely don't want, verticals. Verticals can become lengthening lines and drag lines. They can make you look older. They can be very severe. So unless you've really got a lot of width in your face, you want to steer clear of vertical lines. This one, simple. Horizontal, 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 and horizontal. We want this hairstyle as full as we can make it. We want a horizontal weight line in the center where the hair is the widest. We don't want too much length, so we have horizontal at the base. And we want a nice full bang. And there's your oval once again. So when we begin to work with optical illusion and we begin to work with hairstyling that will flatter your face and your features, we also have to keep in mind your body shape. We have to keep in mind your lifestyle, the type of work you're going for. And when we put all that together, as a hairstylist, that's the most challenging and the most fun thing I can do, is to take a person where they are today and turn them into a professional looking person who gets a job. Thank you.
Wow. Well, I thought that was great. I loved it.
Gets the job, or gets the guy or gal, too.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah.
So not just the job, but yeah. So we have the contact information up for Sunny, and you can make an appointment, right, to come in and have somebody.
Consultations are free.
Yeah,
You know,
consultations are free.
that was hair magic.
Yeah.
You know, for all us magical folks, that was hair magic.
Yeah, no, that was great.
Inside tricks, and you didn't have to be a third degree to learn that.
Yeah. In fact, Sunny's not a member of the community, so you don't even have to be a member of the community to do that. So lots of people can do magic, right? Okay, that was wonderful. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. So, and we are going to go to commercial now, and when we come back, Jackie is going to answer some email questions.
Well, it's actually a general question that people have asked me over the years.
Okay.
So,
but if you have a question, you can you jump in the chat room and say, here's a question for Jackie, and we'll do that. So let's go to commercial.
I'm chasing